Jared Clapper. I'm a junior majoring in finance here at the University of Wyoming. I did my internship with IOG, formerly known as IOHK, which is a blockchain solution or ecosystem to hopefully solve a lot of the world's problems. Specifically, I worked with on their layer 2 solution called Hydra. I worked on the marketing side of that. I did my internship also with Beefchain, which is essentially a supply chain solution for beef products, specifically higher end, USDA certified type things. And again, I worked on the marketing side, even though I'm not a marketing major. Well, with IOG, I was tasked with mainly identifying revenue models currently used on decentralized applications or dApps that are being used on other layer 2 projects like Polygon. And I just learned how vast the ecosystem or applications of blockchain actually are. I researched everything from lending pools to blockchain video games. I learned with Beefchain that that blockchain can be a solution to problems that are close to home for me. I grew up on a farm/ranch, and it's pretty well known that ranchers are price takers, not price makers. And so with Beefchain, that could potentially be flopped. Ranchers could have a lot more control over how they make their money and in what way. What I probably learned from this was the real world applications of some of the stuff I learned in class. Like, for example, I worked, identifying revenue models and just seeing those in action, or what I've ended doing with IOG was value chain analysis. And so I never felt like, before this, I never felt like that it necessarily made sense, at least in terms of the classroom. But once I actually applied it, it made a lot more sense. So I learned about the internship through my professor, Steve Lupian. And he basically was like, "Oh yeah, you got to do this." And so I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it." And then he ended up connecting me to Dr. Billington, Corey Billington. And through him, I ended up working with Ahmed Alcabra over at IOG Hydra, and Drew Person over at Beefchain. So I really enjoyed my experience working over with Ahmed at IOG. I mean, the poor guy, he was putting up with my lack of knowledge, but he's just like, yeah, you got this. And so he was very forgiving of my learning curve. And then with Drew over at Beefchain, that was a pretty fun experience too, because he, I guess he knew a little bit about my background, that I had some experience in this, and he's was always ready to hear what I had to say. And kind of gave me free rein, a lot of flexibility to do what I thought would make sense. But then obviously, with some oversight. But if somebody asked me about this internship, I would highly recommend it to them, because not only are you going to learn a ton, you're going to make some pretty important connections, really grow your network in a valuable way. This added to my educational experience over at UW, because it made me confident in my decision to pursue a blockchain minor, and further that, potentially work for a blockchain company here once I get out of this place.